Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. We've got a decently sized haul, not as big a haul as last week, so let's get started. Kicking things off, we've got Marauders at number 5. Where we left off, the Marauders, while trying to learn about, try to potentially save any of the first mutants who were apparently largely slaughtered by the ancient Shi'ar. Most of the team had ended up in the past during the fall of Avalon, which occurred shortly after the event, after the first Age of Apocalypse storyline ended. Dakin and Aurora were still in the present, dealing with a member of the King Crimson. So the issue begins with the resurrection of Zandra on Krakoa. She's met by her father, Charles. As I said, Dakin and Aurora are dealing with the King Crimson, while the rest of the Marauders are on Avalon. And apparently Cassandra Nova has been incapacitated by Nemesis having drained energy from her. But it turns out that the surviving mutant is on a time drive on Avalon. So you see some of the fight between Exodus and Nemesis. We also the Marauders do what they can to avoid it possibly making any changes to the past. While a symbiote that had been rescued by the Marauders revives Cassandra Nova. Enabling Cassandra Nova to attack Nemesis. Back in the present, Dakin manages to take out the King Crimson Guardian by stabbing a gland that basically keeps him alive. Bishop then goes after Nemesis, draining some of his energy. Draining Nemesis down to the point where he was power wise canonically, as opposed to after having gotten an extra charge from Cassandra Nova. And so Cassandra Nova makes a circuit with herself, Tempo, and Psylocke to get back to the present. In part using the symbiote as to aid in things. But it turns out that Deathbird has returned from where she was exiled to by the King Crimson, and has in fact taken the leader of the King Crimson prisoner. And upon learning of her niece's death, Deathbird executes Delphos the Red. However, Zandra's been resurrected. She's returned to her throne. A ceremony is held to, to basically to re-cement bonds between Krakoa and the Shi'ar Empire. Dakin is presented with the title of Fang for battle in 9 Mortal Kombat by the Shi'ar Super Guardian Fang, who explains that as Dakin killed the Chronicle, he delivered a good and needed death to a Lupak traitor. Adding that once Logan had stole the colors of Fang, or of Lupak, and so in thanks, Dakin is given them freely, or is offered them freely. Which he accepts. The symbiote is passed to Imperial Guardsman Warbird. And Oracle of the Imperial Guard had a discussion of recent matters of Zandra. And in the end, Psylocke is back at Krakoa having dinner with Greycrow, and the two share a kiss. And Greycrow volunteers, if need be, if Psylocke feels the need to kill Cassandra Nova, just let him know, and she'll do it, and he'll do it for her. He'll help her with that. There's also a memo from Bishop to Kate. And we find out that the new Marauder was rebuilt at Zandra's order by the Shi'ar. But it turns out there's a new arrival in the present from the future, brought by a younger Cable, not as young as the most recent young Cable who was on Krakoa, but younger than the Cable everyone knows and loves. Who apparently holds up Kate Pride as a personal hero of hers. That mutant is revealed to be none other than Shakti Haddad, better known as Cerebra of the X-Men of the year 2099. And so Kate gets to meet Cerebra, and it should be noted that Cerebra was near death during the X-Men's appearance in 2099 Exodus, at the end of her appearance there, and Cable was operating with the 2099 X-Men, so clearly Cable time slid back to the present with Cerebra, and well, yeah. But that is where the issue ends. Interesting. I'm hoping that Shakti sticks around. It'd be nice to see the 2099 X-Men more, or at least one of them more often. Perhaps see having one of them pop up more often might lead to more of them being more showing up more often, and maybe a possible X-Men 2099 book again. Moving on to our next book, though, we've got Wolverine Patch number 5, wrapping up the miniseries with a forgotten adventure from Logan's Madripoor days. So where we left off, all the factions were fighting. Shield was going after Beth and Gimel, and Aleph, though Patch was defending them. The Prince of Madripoor and General Coy were still working with the Russian intelligence major, and though they all intended to stab the others in the back to apprehend Beth, Gimel, and Aleph. And Shield was also Shield was making a play for the mutants as well. So we begin with Patch leading Beth, Gimel, and Aleph through the jungle with 2 Mandroids on their tail. Fun point: the names of the Mandroid operators: Bruce and Clark. But Wolverine manages to do some damage to him, and Aleph is able to knock one out, while they're both incapacitated though. So turns out the Russians have their own knockoff Mandroids, which were sent after. Which were sent after the mutants. The Russian major once again forces the prince to work with her, get her back to everything. The Russian Mandroids are having about as same degree of luck as the Shield Mandroids. And the same thing happens to both of them. Archie manages to show up and provide a rescue, though Wolverine does take some heavy fire in keeping Aleph safe. But as Archie lifts off, General Coy's forces shoot down the 2 Hinds, one of which has the intelligence major, and her military liaison basically says, we'll just say she went rogue, and yeah. Now, it's stated that with Wolverine's healing from his injuries, there's a good chance that he may forget the entire thing. Before that happens, however, Archie lands on the helicarrier, and Fury tells Logan that he's going with a solution. The Beth, Gimel, and Aleph will be sent to New Zealand with new identities, kept out of the international market. So they're not going to become Shield test subjects or mercs or whatnot. So, but Aleph does what she can to help Wolverine heal, and like I said, he'll likely lose his memory of much of the adventure. Which, as Archie is taking Patch and Tiger back to Madripoor, Beth and Gimel wave, and Patch asks You know, who are those people waving at us? And Tiger so he tells him that it's a family on the way to a new life thanks to him. And that's all he needs to know. And that is where the series ends. Overall, good. I think my big problem is the fact that that ending. This is one of those things that doesn't have to. It didn't have to have a, how come this hasn't been mentioned before type of ending. Wolverine spent plenty of time in Madripoor. There's got to be a ton of adventures he had down there that no one's ever talked about. Also, it would be nice to have Beth, Galef, and Gimel reappear on Krakoa and be able to reunite with Wolverine. However, it could be there's a possibility that after House of M, perhaps Wolverine does remember this adventure. But anyway, Patch was a decent miniseries. I wholeheartedly believe that had it not been for that ending, the ending going slightly differently would have not having the no memory of not having Wolverine forget about the entire story. I do kind of feel like that kind of it like I said, it was an overall good story, but I feel like the ending was kind of was a bit of a letdown. Moving on to our next book, we've got AXE Judgment Day number 3. Where we left off, Ajak, Phastos, Makari, Iron Man, and Mr. Sinister made a new Celestial, who immediately decided to judge humanity as a whole, individually and as a whole. Yeah. Oh boy. The Avengers and the Eternals allied with them are not exactly happy about that. And in fact, we get Captain America is the first to be judged. It's stated that he has a dream of a better country. He has tried to inspire it for a century. So this country is the world leader, and the world is what it is. It is worse every day. And he is judged a failure. Cap tells Iron Man to, to work on finding a way out of that, while he's going to do what he can to keep the world calm. We then catch up with the 6 civilians that had small side stories in the second issue. Tom is having a drink when Cat makes a broadcast. Someone else at the bar says, asks if they're going to be punished because of what the mutants have been up to. Britain doesn't even recognize them. Apparently, Tom apparently agrees with this. Figures that's what this guy's saying, what everyone's thinking. Katarina catches highlights of it online, and she misses the actual broadcast from Cap. Earlier, after listening to Words of the Celestial, she hurried to post an "Okay, now cancel culture is real" joke. apparently had disappointing numbers. She'd hoped for more. Hope for more. Distraction instead. That she's sleepless with her anxiety. Arjun's widow identifies the body. Howls afterwards. Curses the Celestial with all her heart. Daniela is told about the Avengers struggle, has a moment of empathy, saying being a superhero must be like working a half dozen jobs. It never ends. Her mother tries to get her to come home, but things might get nasty. Daniela is like, yeah, okay. Lying. Girl has to work. Jada's trying to remain calm. Kenda is trying to use the whole thing as a way of getting out of his homework, but well, his father says, "Hey, maybe not do it. Maybe your homework. How well you your homework is what you'll be judged upon." More plotting and planning. Iron Man seems to have found a weakness within the Celestial, and with Sinister being there while he discovers this, well, Sinister gets in touch with Destiny telepathically. The problem with the weakness within the Celestial is that if it were to be destroyed, it could potentially hit the city of Reykjavik from the North Pole. So they're trying to. So the Eternals and the Avengers are trying to find another way. On Krakoa, Sinister. Destiny calls a quick telepathic council meeting via telepathy, or through Emma's telepathy, and the decision is basically just kind of a ward. Okay, yeah, send a strike team, and. But they also find out they have they're getting reinforcements in the form of the Deviants. Apparently the Deviants can pass through the Krakoan gates, so maybe they're a bit more mutant than maybe they're a bit closer to mutants than everyone would have thought. But Crow explains that anyone on the wrong end of an Eternal's Theurgic lance is deviant enough as far as he's concerned. But when the X-Men strike team arrives, the Avengers and Eternals are informed, and yeah, they realize that Sinister ignored the fact that yes, it would attack would the possibility that could cause damage to Reykjavik. Tony Stark says millions could die, though Sinister counters kind of logically, billions will definitely live. Adding that, they won't thank the X-Men, but they're mutants. They're used to that. Adding that Iron Man can say please and thank you later. But since the Celestial is under attack, the Eternals leap to its defense. The strike team seemingly consists of Ken Omega, who shouldn't be there because he's unresurrectable now. Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Iceman, and Dupe, perhaps? Looks like there are some others. Colossus, Beast, perhaps? It's hard to tell. Only certain characters are getting real spotlight moments, so yeah. Um, but they seem to go to Jean seems to be the one that should, make the blast, and then. But it turns out they were never in the Celestial. The Celestial just simply made everyone believe that they had that it all happened. And Jean said they were inside his mind. She should have known. The Celestial further explains that asked everyone to justify themselves, stating that thumbs down for for Emma Frost, thumbs up for Crow, thumbs down for Destiny and Mystique. Others she will consider longer. Jean is not happy that Sinister knew of the risks but didn't say anything. But with Sinister saying that she would have known if she'd stayed on the council. Sinister gives her a big thumbs down and a raspberry. But in the exclusion, Cersei gets some help from Jack of Knives. Apparently they're rescuing a prisoner. Eros, brother of Thanos, also known as Star Fox, eternal, and like Cersei, a former Avenger. So apparently Star Fox is going to try to make the world realize that all you need is love. That is where the issue ends. Very interesting. I have to admit, I kind of like that idea that, the assault our big action scene for the issue basically was all in the Eternal's mind, or all in the Celestial's mind. It was very interesting. Moving on to our next book, we've got Captain America: Symbol of Truth, number 4. Oh, okay. So we are getting legacy numbering on the Cap books. All right. Okie dokie. Okay. So, where we left off, Sam Wilson was wanting to gather some intelligence in Wakanda. However, Shuri basically told him no. Same with the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Falcon had been captured by the White Wolf's forces, and we open in the Storm Desert with Falcon. Crossbones is on his way elsewhere for the White Wolf, and Sam has arrived in Wakanda with some passing muster fake credentials, with some passing muster fake identities. But He's pulled aside by some security forces and led into the jungle, where he encounters Crossbones. Falcon manages to get free and free the other test subjects. Crossbones lays out the whole plan, or at least what he's privy to of the plan to Falcon, intending to kill him, or to Sam, intending to kill him. Falcon manages to get the test subjects free, but fight between Sam and Crossbones continues, but well, Sam does have an additional ally in the form of Red Wing, but Sam manages to get the information that he needs from Crossbones that is apparently a biological weapon the White Wolf cooked up that could live in the bloodstream. When it got triggered, it would eat a person alive and then go airborne. And so Sam asks what the trigger is. Vibranium. There's a sudden explosion as Black Panther shows up. Apparently stating that Wakanda's not they kind of despise, and seems that Shuri's warning was not strong enough, which will lead to a fight between Cap and Black Panther next issue. That is where the issue ends. Interesting, though surprisingly, being Wakanda, you'd think being in Wakanda would trigger the virus just immediately, because, well, vibranium. But perhaps it's still dormant, but yeah. Anyway, moving on to our last book for the moment, we've got Genis, Vell, Captain Marvel, number 2. Where we left off, Genis Vell had been taken prisoner by a space gangster, and however, the space gangster's patron, so to speak, had come to see him and demanded that Genis be freed. That patron be none other than the Mad Titan, Thanos. And Rick Jones is trying to kind of put everything back, was trying to put his existence back together, basically. So, Thanos demands the release of Rick Jones, or of Genis Vell, but it turns out it's not, and so Genis is released to Thanos' custody, but it turns out it's not Thanos. It is in fact Jacinda, daughter of the Super Skrull, Claret. Apparently, she needs Genis' help with a rescue mission. They're going to save Death. Mistress Death. Which brings us back to the flashback story also being told in the mini. Years ago, after Marlowe had seemingly left Rick Jones for Moondragon. Apparently, Mistress Death was at Marlowe and Rick's wedding and gave Marlowe a hairbrush. You know, nice little pun. Brush with death. But apparently, Mistress Death is afraid. And that's something that Jacinda brings up. She has a kind of... She consumed a mystical gem, and a cosmic gem, and gave her connection to Death. So, but Death has been taken prisoner by Renvar, who was the late Vox Supreme's right-hand man. But they're stopped by a Badoon warship, because Jazin is also pissed off with Badoon. Genis goes to save her. Rick returns home, digs out the negabands, slams them together, and nothing happens. But it does kind of seem like maybe something did happen, just not that Rick could tell. Elsewhere, Vell gets a flies off from swimming while on a vacation with Carol Danvers, explaining that someone banged negabands together. But Jacinda's ship gets damaged and she's injured in the attack as well. And Vell gets kind of burned out a bit, power-wise, when a Kree vessel arrives to take Vell into custody. And the issue ends with Renvar explaining that, revealing that Renvar has Marlowe in custody and apparently has complete control over Death. And that is where the issue ends. Like I said, that's where the issue ends. Interesting. Interesting. Anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.